That was
for a while
close.
there. I thought
So close.
I know. I honestly I thought like maybe I should go and like start things, and then everyone could just see Julius being an absolute mush. But there's an entire show for that.
Yes, there
And
is. That should be After Dark. Nothing but Julius. Julius all the time, 24/7.
Why you have not set up like a little like a cat cam somewhere for asynchronous income is beyond me, because
Support your favorite cat. If Julius is your favorite, text 333. If Castor is your favorite, text 444. Have like some weird
little
internet
things like
contest.
Like people donate $5 and then there's a treat dispenser, something like that.
What do you think about that, Leo? What do you think?
For just $1 a day, you two can sponsor this poor striped kitty so he can perhaps find a second brain cell.
This poor kitty is lacking in education. He is as stupid as a bag of rocks. If you would like to see this kitty smarter, I'm afraid you're out of luck, but you can still send him money.
Oh dear. Okay, so Rowdy's like, no, Paul, no. Sadly, we are coolly-less this week, although we were promised a potential drop-in the chat. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But one can only hope.
But what if we
Rowdy, I will not
singing?
be doing my Sarah McLachlan impression. Nobody
what
needs
if we
that.
Want to sing Arms of the Angels?
Copyright?
Probably. Another copyright strike. Boom, done.
I mean, goodness. And then there are people who are like, what is this?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I am juggling audiobook projects, which is great because it means I have work. And money. At some point, yes. Once I complete things, but yeah. So that's going well. I have an interview for the new book. So Bayan has the Bayan Free Radio Hour podcast that they do, and they have a YouTube channel and all that. So I'm getting interviewed for that tonight. And I don't know when it's going to go up. I'll find out. But that should be interesting because it's a video interview with me and my co-author, Mercedes Lackey. And I have no idea what they're going to ask us about. So I'm just going to kind of sit back and, grab my cup of decaf because it's at 9 tonight and I need to be able to sleep. So it should be interesting.
What you get for having an author that you work with that like lives during the hours of darkness because she's a vampire.
She's not a vampire.
That's what I hear.
No, some people are just more creative at different times of the day, and I will respect that. I'm not one of them, but I respect it.
Are you sure? Have you ever seen her reflection in the mirror?
I don't remember. I cannot recall. And it's been a while. I cannot recall. So yeah, our renovation is kind of like doing in stages. So the one room is done. We're going to move on to taking care of the bathroom. So getting some more supplies, but we're also in the orthodontia stages for my daughter. So we get to start that next week. It'll be so much fun. But
speaking of vampires, I've heard that there are people that have their incisors replaced with longer implant incisors.
I don't have the budget for that. And I don't think the orthodontist does that. So
you should go ahead and troll the orthodontist by pretending that that's what you want.
I cannot. She is a delightful woman. I am not going to troll her because She they have been so nice and willing to work with me and answer all of my silly questions, so I'm not going to troll them. But doesn't mean I can't poke fun at my kid. Although I'll probably get the no, mom, because this is my kid doesn't read like fantasy or sci-fi or anything. She wants her contemporary stuff, and I'm like, but fun spaceships and elves and talking cats. And like, no, like, why? So
Sandra says
Xander,
most my friends into vampire. I think most of his friends are into vampire culture. They get inserts. They are removable. They are made by a dentist to fit around the three teeth. The three teeth very cleanly. Does it go? One fang goes over three teeth. I guess.
I can see that because because they'll have anchors, so it would anchor the second from the middle, then the canine, and then your bicuspid.
Maybe it's like a vampire that only has three fangs, and you're like, what happened to your other fang? I don't talk about that.
So Transylvania hillbillies? I mean, is that what we're talking? Just like
all right, now,
Snaggletooth
let's talk about vampire bootleggers, the moonshiners. Now let's see, how would that work in vampire culture, the equivalent of moonshiners? Well, we troll the homeless people and we go ahead and we drain a pint out of each of them, and they're too drunk to remember, and everybody gets all sauced up.
Oh no, you got a whole thrall culture. You've got like have like almost like a feudal system or a landowning system, and then you'd be like, oh my gosh, you'd be tapping people like maple trees. This is terrible. We're gonna. I don't need another project. I don't need. I'm sitting here going, I wonder how I could do this. Have I thought of this? Would this fit? No, I don't need another idea. So, because I don't need another idea, Terry, how are you?
I'm good. The book I was working on is done. I have 3 chapters that I need to go ahead and write to finish up the first book of the Traveler stuff that I'm writing, that I'm releasing for my Patreon folks. I'll do that this weekend and then start Monday on the next book. What else was I doing? My wife is getting her knee replacement done next Tuesday, so that's exciting.
Oof. All the exciting stuff going on next week.
I can't imagine. I still have no real word on how much physical therapy she's going to be going through. I know that she's going through some. I'm unsure how often, how long, but I'm going to expect it's going to be on the longer end of that. So that's going to impact what things I do. But that's all right. I'll manage. Sugar Daddy will just have to extend the book out a little bit if need be.
As he should. I mean, got to take care of Donna. And, the nice thing is a lot of physical therapy for that thing. If you're chauffeuring, then there's time to sit in a waiting room or time to walk outside if you're dictating stuff. So
I tried doing that, but it's so error prone when I walk outside and do that it's just not worth it. Too much extra labor. It became already doing the fixing of what Dragon does here in my office it's fairly clean. It's not too much of a problem. When I was doing it outside and walking and talking, it became a problem. It was a lot of work. I mean, people like Kevin J. Anderson can get away with it because they have a human being doing the translation and putting it into the written word. I don't have that, and the computer's not that smart.
Yeah. And the cats don't have thumbs and can't help you. So
even if they could, it would all be about how they're starving to death. And that's not exactly what we need to have in my books.
But so I can segue. So I have noticed, I know at one point you talked about having cats in your books. Do you have any cats in your books?
Yes, but not as a central character, more like as a sideshow, so to speak.
Okay. Why?
Why do I have them, or why do they not
What?
become more central?
Why aren't they more central?
In the two instances where I've done it, the one series, things were going on and it just, I meant to making them more central, but the fact that they're not known to be intelligent kind of limits my opportunity to introduce them into situations.
Okay.
Now, the main characters know they're intelligent. They suspect it anyway, to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And they could potentially do something, but I'm now 3/4 of the way through the series, 2/3 of the way through the series, so it's a little late.
Yeah. Okay.
The cats that I've introduced into the traveler fiction that I'm writing for my Patreon, they came in late in this first book, but I intend to have them be more central going forward, more involved with the action. And I think that's key if you're going to have an animal character, is they need to be critical to the action that's going on. They need to be a part of what's going on rather than an afterthought.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless you're
I
John Wick and your dog has died and now everyone else must die.
but still, the animal is part of the action. They're the reason that someone takes action. So, I haven't, well, we're not going to talk about the fanfic of years ago because there were definitely cats in that because Sailor Moon fanfiction has cats. But having animal familiars, if you're writing science fiction or fantasy, is not new. And you're right that there has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason for that non-human character to be there, whether or not they speak. In one of the stories that I've been working on in a group, there is a talking octopus. It speaks. Don't ask me how. I haven't. We're going to gloss over that piece of how it actually communicates. Just trust me.
Whistle past the graveyard. We're not going to talk about that.
Just step up. So, but it's there as a observer. So something that's able to interact with the main character as a, well, this is how things are, and a I'm going to say neutral because the octopus does not like the main character as we start out. But it's another dimension, and it serves of how strange the setting is. Because you would imagine, a pet dog, a pet cat. So Rowdy says, just remember, cat girls are relatively intelligent and can speak, purr, and other fun things. Yes. Yes.
I would not say a cat girl is an animal, though. That's a sapient species.
Yes. Yes. So that, I guess, so what we're talking more about pets and familiars.
I think we're talking about animals, perhaps uplifted, perhaps not.
Okay.
Now, I think the idea of uplifting animals is very interesting because then you have to take what they are and keep that while still introducing them to a level of intelligence and cognition that a cat or a dog would not normally have, and keep it true to its own nature while still being different. In the Traveler role-playing game, the ancients took various humans from the Earth 300,000 years ago and seeded them across an area of space. When they did so, they also genetically uplifted wolves and created a bipedal species called the vargur. and they
Okay.
are just as intelligent as everybody else, but they are born from the genetics of wolves. And so there's very much a pack mentality, and it makes some very chaotic events around their government, because charisma and how that applies to those around them is very important to that species. Their dominance, their developing followers, whether they're a leader, whether they are a follower, is all wrapped around their history as wolves. And a lot of the players in this game have trouble remembering that they are not dogs, that they are wolves. And the backgrounds of the two are very different.
Let's see. Yeah. Xander, it's not Omegaverse stuff. That's I think well, okay.
First, you should explain what Omegaverse is.
Oh Lord, do I have to?
I'm afraid that you must.
Okay. I'm okay, so generally it is found in romance, lit RPG, but it is. I'm gonna find Wikipedia. Oh yeah, you were making a joke. Sorry, we
Too
have
late now.
that already. Okay, so for those who are not aware, um, it is a subset generally of either romance or erotica, and so because it involves wolves, lupine characteristics, um, paranormal romance, paranormal erotica, and it is werewolves with a definite hierarchy. So you have your pack mentality, and then the dominance and submissiveness is key in the interactions. People love to focus on the courtship and mating rituals, because that winds up getting blurred between human and canine, lupine. So that can be interesting. But it is certainly a case of where characters you're not dealing with something with simply human characteristics, because oftentimes when these characters are written, there's almost a dual mind deal where you're dealing with your human self and your wolf self, and those entities are kind of at war with each other. And so one personality is overriding the other, or human instincts are trying to override wolf instincts for functioning in society. Yeah, if you want to know more, please do your research, because it's a lot. And it is the other thing is that it is a very popular subgenre, and like any subgenre, it can be done well and it can be done poorly. I have fortunately narrated stuff that it was done very well. So, and I'm not going to make fun of it because they were good stories. Yeah, Xander's like, there's a lot, there's a ton, so you can go and research on your own. But it is very popular.
Well, it's not related to animals. We talked last week about some books by Karen Chance about a dampier. And
Yes.
that's another dual natured being, half human, half vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And in her books, dampiers are looked down upon by vampire culture and hunted. And she is the daughter of Dracula, or not Dracula. She's the daughter of a very powerful, very old vampire. And through events in the book, they somehow rouse the vampire half of her as a sapient being separate from herself and discover, much to their chagrin, that she is an incredibly powerful ancient vampire. And she terrifies the living crap out of them.
They effed around and found out.
Yes, they did. And now, I haven't read the last few books in that particular series, but there was a lot of, oh God, what do we do now? Oh God, what do we do now? Running around like chickens with their heads cut off because they've discovered that the things that they have been killing off could have been different than they are, and the ones that are still alive and old may be a lot more dangerous under the right circumstances than they ever considered them to be.
So, but you're talking about something where you had to, like you said, the dual nature and having to write characters with that consideration in mind. So if you've got something like vampires, werewolves, a lot of other non-human creatures, non-human but still sentient creatures, considering how they, I guess, how animal instincts, if they're going to come through, how they come through, how the individual societies come through, and if you choose to do stuff with that or not. I know one of the series that I worked with a lot had a sentient cat-like creature. And it could shapeshift. It was very intelligent, kind of like the guide of the group. But it was very clear that because of the feline personality, there was no gray area with some things. If you come into a territory and you're not supposed to be there, you're lunch. Is there any guilt about this? No. Do cats have guilt about that? Cats have no guilt.
Cats have no guilt about anything.
No. But if
actually,
something
that's not true. I have seen cats feeling guilty. Usually because they've inadvertently hurt me. They've cut me or something, and they didn't mean to. And I've seen a little bit of guilt about that.
But if one cat comes into another cat's territory, there's really not a second thought about, oh, well, should I say something or should I just like give it some space? Like, no, you came in my territory. I'm going to cut you. And that was something that got played up with this particular type of character. Also, you're really bad. I'm going to eat you. You serve no purpose. You're lunch. And it was like, that's a bit harsh. No, it's just how we are. Okay.
Sassy, what would you do if you were sapient?
I would tell off all the boys upstairs.
Buzz, 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 buzz.
So, okay, I'm gonna catch up with the chat. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to like make stuff a little bit bigger so I'm not squinting. Oh, okay. Where goats will eat anything.
Well, we were talking about fan fiction earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people should start writing fan fiction about Paul and inserting werepossums or uplifted possums or something.
People have written werepossums. Charlie Brown has written a werepossum, who I love. I have voiced a werepossum. So this little werepossum was a surfer dude. It was great. So cute. But I think if you're gonna write something like that, then you have to consider what the like the base level of instinct and mentality. That's as Sassy's internal monologue. What do you think? There's a reason why if you want to support me, you dial 666. I mean. And then Rowdy says cats with human intelligence with opposable thumbs would be raccoons. I mean, you're not completely wrong. I know my male cat does look like a raccoon, especially with his tail. Then also a segue and Firefly from James. If they planned if season 2 happened, they were going to go into a bar, and Spike from Buffy would be sitting there going, "Nothing ever changes. It never changes."
Well, we should avoid diving into vampires in science fiction because that could be a totally different subject. If you were going to go ahead and wanted to introduce an animal into your stories, say not a uplifted animal, just a regular animal, how would you go about doing that in a way that the reader would find endearing, useful, helpful, and it would not be a strain on the story to have it?
Okay, let's see. Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Why do I have that? So non-uplifted animals work really well as sidekicks, or as emotional support creatures. So they work really well because there are plenty of folks with pets who we talk to our animals. We don't expect them to talk back. It's probably a good thing they don't talk back, but it's a way to get the words out like somebody's listening. So having a non-uplifted creature for the main character is a way to get dialogue out or monologue without it being super monologue-y. It's also a way to just to show a different side of a character. So one of the other collaborative stories that I've been working on, there is a hellhound, for lack of a better. I mean, so it's a sentient creature. Sorry, so I guess it doesn't qualify. But at the beginning, nobody knows. At least the POV character does not know that it's a sentient creature. It just looks like a really, really big, slobbery dog. And it is... I think one of the things that I do with that animal is it accepts newcomers into the group before other people do. So it's a litmus test. It's that like little, that just like, okay, if the dog likes you, we like you. I also think if you're going to introduce an animal into a story or situation, you need to have some familiarity with that type of animal. For my part, I wouldn't try to introduce a horse into something because I don't have a lot of experience with horses. And just like if you try to introduce firearms and you try to get really detailed and you do it poorly, people come after you. Same thing with horses. So you want to do your research. So what would you do, Terry?
The most recent book that I've been reading, there's a 3-book series that Nora Roberts recently completed. And I'm trying to remember if it wasn't The Wedding. It may have been The 7 Brides, something. I think it was The 7 Brides. And the main character, when she inherits a home and moves up there, I'm not quite sure I remember how she got the dog, but she ended up with a dog, and that dog proved to be a bonding agent between her and the local lawyer's son who she's with now. So it proved to be the glue between their relationship because he had a dog, her dog got along with his dog, things like that. And when her friend moved in with her friend is a Louisiana daughter of a granddaughter of a witch sort of thing. Not really a witch herself, but she's got a cat, a little black cat. And the two of them, their presence in the book is trotted out when tension is there, when they need something to help transition things from one place to another. It's kind of all background, but it helps to make things a more cohesive whole. I wouldn't even say that they're main characters. They're definitely secondary characters, and they only serve certain purposes.
Okay, agreed.
I'll
I
see if
think
I can
it's
find the
also,
books and put them into the Discord.
and there's also the whole like just the appearance of an animal, and how characters react to it and treat it says a lot about. I mean, that's another way to show us a different side of a character. The So I've got the Save the Cat thing in my little nameplate, but the reason that that series is there, why it's called Save the Cat, is because of the Alien movies. Because in the Alien movies, the humanizing thing is, well, you have to handle all these things, but you have to save the cat. Nobody leaves the cat to become an alien snack. And
that was that before or after the whole lethal weapon thing. Roger, save the cat. Roger, grab the cat or something. I'm trying to remember. Both of them are pretty old. And I always think about that with them having to grab the cat and run from the bomb.
Okay. So is that okay? So that was the first Lethal Weapon. And nope. That is, so Alien was the first one. Alien was 1979, and Lethal Weapon was several years after that. So
okay, it's both very far back in my history, so I could not remember which came first. As a side bit for troublesome actor type people, we'll put it that way.
Geez.
In Aliens, in the scene where she gets into the cryosleep thing, you remember she's stripped down till she's in an undershirt and her panties.
Right.
Sigourney Weaver refused to shave the area above her panty line, and they had to go in frame by frame and digitally clear it out.
Jeez. It was the 70s, man. There's so another use of, the reason I remember this is because when I was working on campus, our secretary was like, she was so pissed off about this. So the series House of Cards, literally the first episode, with Kevin Spacey's character, there, I don't remember exactly. I think the animal gets hit by a car. Dog gets hit by a car. And right there, while Spacey's breaking the fourth wall and talking to the camera, He he breaks the dog's neck. Um, and so on the one hand, it's not suffering anymore, but is that, you know, was that what could have been, was that the best choice? Or was that just the choice that he made in the moment? And the fact that he did that, one, foreshadowing for a truly shitty character. And two, it turned off a lot of people. Like there were folks like, I can't watch this. Why did they put that on? And it wasn't like even, you didn't see it happen. Everything happened. He's just talking and you hear the animal, but you don't actually see stuff happen. But just knowing that it was implied that was going on ruined, like people would not watch that movie, a series. Because if you choose to have an animal, and this again, John Wick, if you choose to have an animal or animals as part of your, you know, storyverse, if you treat them poorly, readers will come after you. And there are plenty of people who will not read books if an animal dies in it.
Babies and pets. The
Yes.
third rail of writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have stopped series before. There was a particular post-apocalypse series that I was listening to, and they talked about the bad scene from the bad guys sending them off to go ahead and get rid of infants. And it's like, done. We're finished here.
Yep. Yeah. There's being aware of what readers like hard nose are, and those are definitely two things. So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're like, hey, it could be really cool to do this, do you have to? Is that the lazy way out? Is that actually going to serve the purpose you need? Or can you convey the idea or thought or emotion through something else? Because especially people will latch on to an animal that, you know, that you put into a book. So treat it nicely.
There was a scene in another post-apocalyptic book that almost crossed the line for me, but didn't quite make it there because of the way it was framed. It was post-apocalyptic and it was in Canada. I want to say Vancouver. There's apparently some tall building in whatever the city is.
Mm-hmm.
And the people went up to the top floor to the observation deck because they needed to see what was going on. And they found the mummified body of a woman and her cat.
Oh.
And a note that she had poisoned both of them so that they wouldn't have to go through it.
Yeah, that is, I mean, I agree that's very close to the line. It's not necessarily a death that happens on screen, but you do discover it. But it does say something about how people were experiencing and managing that post-apocalyptic situation, or, you know, the smaller things going on. And it was better to find out a way to not be there. And the woman was like, yeah, I don't want the cat to be there either. It's better for the cat, you know, one or the other.
As cat parents, we have to sometimes make hard choices.
Yes. But ugh.
That was a tough one. That was a tough scene to read.
Yeah. And so Matt says, I remember a Scott Sigler interview. Everyone is fair game. Everyone can die. You never know who will get it except the dog. Yes. And if you follow Scott Sigler, he has 3. I want to say 3. He posts a lot of very cute puppy pictures. So yeah, except the dog, definitely, because yeah.
Scott
And saying that
Sigler,
Scott Sigler has a line.
I read I listened to the first Earth Core, and
Oh,
in that book, before he modified it, he literally killed off all of the characters, every single last one of them, by the end of the book. And I'm like,
mhm.
okay, I guess everybody's on the plate.
Yeah, but still there is a line. Um, I think it's interesting in a lot of cases you don't like sometimes we write in situations where it doesn't I mean it doesn't make sense to have um an animal companion. It doesn't make sense to have a pet because the very situations that we're writing about aren't fair to the animal. Like if I'm writing about a generation ship and people in, cryostasis, it's not fair to the animal to be, in a tube going through space where, you know, the ship is meant to be out there for 150 years. That cat may be alive for, a tenth of that.
But if it's in a tube, it's asleep, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying not that cat would be in stasis. Like there'd be like you'd have some people running the ship, but then you have another group of people who are in stasis. But if you're on a generation ship where you've got people, you know, living, procreating, passing on, and then the next generation taking care of the ship until they get to their destination or their system, does it make sense to have an animal? It doesn't make sense to have.
I would say it would be fine, at least as far as I see it, because they're going through exactly what the people are going through. And if the situation is good enough for the people to live in relative comfort, it's good enough for the animals to live in relative comfort as well.
Okay. Uh-oh. Are we relevant? James says, wait, this subject really relates to my work in progress in a way.
Oh, we've got to change subjects fast.
Oh no.
We can't be relevant. Holy moly.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
so tell us more, James.
Yeah.
How can we make this even more complicated for you?
How can we make you second guess your current draft? Because we're really good at that. Okay. The idea is that animals have been engineered, somewhat uplifted, to run the systems of ships as AIs have been proved unreliable.
No lies detected.
Forgive me, my first thought is Zootopia in space, and I'm not mad at it. I'm just thinking I don't want the sloth to run the warp core.
Change course, the asteroid's coming. Yeah, pretty much.
It might be a problem. Oh, but
sticking the sloth in a fighter, probably a bad idea.
Right. But intricate repairs, probably not a terrible thing because
as long as you don't have to have them done fast.
Right.
When's the engine core going to be fixed? Oh, probably next year. Sorry, that's an Eeyore voice there.
I was about to say that's wrong sentient animal. Okay. So bats and missiles, sharks as attack fighters. Okay.
Obviously, the cute bunnies are going to have to be the ones that run everything because cute bunnies.
Because cute bunnies. That or I don't know. Animation has made like almost anything possible, except I wouldn't put cats in charge. Be like, yeah, I don't want this right now. It can't be that important.
I think that's an interesting idea to have semi-uplifted animals replace AI as running things, as long as you take their nature into account.
Yes. And wouldn't you have to like start training at a very young age, because you'd have to get, I'm not saying that you'd have to train out certain instincts, but you'd have to train with maybe to downplay certain instincts. Um so do you train out the prey drive, or do you direct the prey drive? Um is there a limit to the size of the animal? That's another thing.
Uplifted elephant in charge.
What does the captain's chair look like? That'd be really big. A
Probably more
huge
like a
Brit.
dais without any chair whatsoever. Ratty says chimps are best to uplift. I don't know. Probably, but I'm wondering if uplifted chimps wouldn't just be a distraction, too much like half people, whereas animals that are not bipedal or not going to potentially be bipedal might be better because they don't quite fit into the partially human category.
Well, I don't know. Because if you're working with someone who is, if you're working with a creature that is very similar to humans, then you have less, there's less modification you have to do about like predictability. And or even better, you could uplift rednecks into chimps. And in space, any aquatic or aerial creature is really good because 3D space is normal.
And
Okay,
Traveler,
point.
dolphins and orcas have also been uplifted.
Yep.
It would require some changes to spacecraft design for a water environment or even a partial water environment.
Yeah.
Could be a challenge.
It could be. But it also,
Uplifted chimps, you've got Planet of the Apes. There's some vibes there.
yeah. Yeah. And then there's, human extinction or near extinction, and have we not learned? Come back to
There was a
Earth.
story that I read that has nothing to do with uplifted anything. It was a story called Friday by Robert Heinlein. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a very long time. This book talked about a society of robots built by humans post-human extinction. Humans have now died out, and their servants are all that survive, and how they deal with each other.
Huh. Yeah, there are actually maybe it's I've seen that theme come up in a lot of newer fiction. The idea that um, either that robots gain sentience and therefore there are more rights, and then they're not being used in society. Uh-oh.
Really?
For those who are not watching,
That is the
members
second
of
time this morning they've knocked over their food bin.
oh, if you don't have thumbs, use gravity.
Well, they are not ashamed to use gravity.
Clearly. Okay, so Matt says, in all fairness, most people think of the Welsh and Scots as the rednecks of the UK. There are times they aren't far wrong. I'm in Florida. Florida man is a real thing.
What about Florida woman? Is Florida woman a real thing?
Those are just Karens with really, really awful tans. Ooh. And Botox. But yes, I I try not to run into them. So Florida, yes, yes, it is a scary thing. So Terry, if you had to uplift a sort of creature, and it can't be a cat,
Ooh,
what would
tough,
you? I
tough
know,
call.
right?
You've trapped me for my go-to animal.
I know. What would
Hmm.
you? What would you use? So I mean, you said in Traveler there are uplifted wolves, more or less.
Wolves. You got orcas. You've got um, dolphins. I think you have chimps and apes as well, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But if I wanted to uplift an animal, it would have to be chimps because they do make the most sense. But if I was going to make an intelligent animal that was still just animal, it would be something different. Maybe a ferret. A ferret would be fun.
It would be fun, and yet I'm seeing it like so much like Ocean's 11-esque sort of heist with a bunch of sentient ferrets going after shiny things.
Not wrong. No lies detected.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I need a crew of raccoons, uplifted raccoons. They break into places. Did you see the article where a raccoon drove a ram into a glass window on a store so that all of the uh, raccoons could go in and steal the food and then run away?
Are you talking about like a Dodge Ram as in a
No,
truck
I'm
or
talking about a
a
living
goat?
creature.
Oh,
There was a raccoon on the back of it steering it with its horns, and it rammed the glass and broke the glass so that they could run in and steal the food and escape again. Now, who says raccoons aren't tool users? Tell me that's not intelligence right there.
that is a very interesting symbiotic relationship. That's kind of cool.
I'll see if I
Um,
can find an article posted in uh in live because it's actually a real thing. It actually happened and they have video of it. And so it's not even apocryphal. It's on video.
let's see, folks. What is chat saying? Um, not saying octopuses, but depending upon who you talk to, they may be further up than us already. Yeah, yeah, yes. Um, James saying crows. Crows are also like ridiculously smart, so they may be halfway there. Um, Hi, my name is Ed. How many raccoons in a trench coat? 3. Or is that possums? I know it's 3 possums in a trench coat. I'm not sure how that equates to raccoons. Maybe. No, it'd still be maybe 3 raccoons, just very tall. An XL trench coat. I don't know. I would, because I'm me, I would want to do something ridiculous. Like if I'm gonna have an uplifted creature, I would definitely make it like part of the general ecosystem wherever I'm setting the story. So what if I did an uplifted iguana? I mean, the problem is it would freak out the minute, a freeze is coming, like, oh no, and they'd be running around trying to get like little puffer jackets and all that. So it doesn't, lock up during a huge freeze. Um, yeah, it is something to consider because there are a lot of animals there that are that you as they're studied more and people interact with them more, we realize that there's a lot more capability than what was initially assumed, and that animals learn very quickly. You know, rats, magpies, like Matt points out, a lot of bird species are very, very tricky.
It looks like the story about the raccoons and the ram may have been not a true story, but it should have been a true story. It really should have
Yeah.
been.
And when the thing is, when you mentioned raccoons, I was like, so Guardians of the Galaxy, there was a whole thing with people trying to uplift animals. And it did not necessarily go well. Was that Guardians? Was that the third one? I think that was the third movie. That was a hard one to watch for all little flashbacks. Uplifted border collies. Okay, some of y'all are doing nightmare fuel in the chat. I do not need sentient spiders. Thank you. Or sentient roaches. Okay, I'm rowdy out here being existential. What if aliens uplifted chimps and we are those uplifted chimps?
That story has been passed around as science fiction fuel in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That alien intervention is responsible for humanity.
Evolution? Nah. Some alien kids messed up science experiment? Possibly.
Well, see, evolution is a thing, but what if you take proto-humans that didn't quite make the cut and make a minor change so that they did make the cut? It wouldn't be something that would be necessarily tellable at a late date like we are now. But if you intervene way back in history to take something that's upright and not really that intelligent and make it a little bit better, tweak it, and suddenly you have a different evolutionary path. It doesn't have to be a wholesale uplift, just a tweak to make it something different.
You're arguing for sentient dinosaurs.
No, I'm not. I was talking about a specific intervention on the hominid scale.
Okay.
It can be done. It could have been done. I wouldn't say that it was done because I don't believe that. But if you're going to write science fiction, that's certainly a more believable plot element than a lot of things that have been trotted out.
True. Or if you're messing with other species, as I think somebody here has done in his stories, if I do recall Maya Empire of Bones lore, insinuating that creatures messed with DNA similar to humans and then came up with something that looks totally different on the outside, but is, for all intents and purposes, super near human.
Yeah, I did it.
Yes. One of them was named Jacob. I remember.
Lots of people are named Jacob in my books. Lots.
That's right. If you're reading a Terry Mixon book and you find a Jacob, I mean, if I had a nickel every time, I could have.
I can hear it now. Another one? Another one?
Damn it, Terry. Grab the highlighter, open up Notepad, write it in there. Sentient velociraptors. No, they were already clever enough. Goodness.
Well, we started it off with cats in space. Let's go ahead and uplift pigs and have pigs in space because that's pretty much where we have to end it, right? Pigs in space.
I mean, makes sense to me.
Bringing home the bacon.
Oh, I really hope there's another episode of the new Muppet Show where they're able to do that. Although they did a Bridgerton spoof and it was pigs in wigs. And it was fantastic. Oh. Samurai Pizza Cats? Really? We're going that far? Oh, but I guess, and if we wanted to go back to cats and go to cats in space, excellent example of feline-esque creatures in space that wind up being super necessary. Not you, Julius. The Flurkins from the
It's
Marvels.
from Marvel.
Yeah,
That's how.
but definitely in
director lost
the
his
Marvels
eye.
movie. And everybody has their opinions about those, about that particular offshoot. Do not come from Miss Marvel. I stand Kamala Khan. I love that series. I think I've watched it 3 times. That's a lot for me. But the use of the Flurkins in the Marvels movie it's a bit deus ex machina, but it works. And it is a creature that definitely is sentient, but does
not got
have
any
human
tolerance
instincts.
for your shit.
No. Definitely a if you're a problem, you're food. That is a excellent Flurkin mentality.
Well, we have reached the end of the show. Amazingly,
Without
we've
Paul?
stayed mostly on target. We didn't wander off when the vampires came up, though it was tempting, very tempting.
Man. So maybe going off topic is that, Paul always likes to blame us. I think it's him.
I think it is him because it doesn't happen when he's gone. So obviously it's him. And since he's not here to defend himself, it's a done deal.
Yep.
I have no access to any links or anything. So am going to say that we thank you for your attention, and we will now go to the live in about 10 minutes, 8 minutes from now, to the After Dark show, where, maybe the Omegaverse will be talked about again. Who knows? One can never tell during After Dark what the conversation is going to be about. But
or maybe new and exciting projects will be discussed.
It's entirely possible.
Your butt better be in After Dark, gosh darn it. Because strange things are afoot within the Dead Robot Society.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That too.
Thanks, folks. We will be out of here, and we will see you next week. If you're going to get into trouble, don't call for bail. We don't have any spare money for you. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not a good alibi. Sorry.
Nope.
Nope.
Bye.
Bye.